Welcome to Module 17 on X and Y intercepts. Turn to a new page in your notebook and write Module 17 X and Y intercepts so that you can find this topic later. You should already have your notebook out. You should have already written that this is Module 17. Remember, you can use these notes on your quizzes. That way you don't have to rewatch all the videos every time you need to look something up. For Module 17 X and Y intercepts, we're going to be talking about how to find X and Y intercepts from both a graph and an equation. We're going to graph a line given its X and Y intercepts, and then we're going to calculate our own X and Y intercepts in order to graph the line. So first, let's make sure we understand what are intercepts. So new topic, what are intercepts? Intercepts are where the line, or where the graph of an equation, crosses the X and Y axes. You might want to write that definition down. Intercepts are where the line crosses the X and Y axes. So you have an X-axis, which is the green, and a Y-axis, which is the red, and the blue line crosses the green line here, which is why that's your X-intercept, and the blue line crosses the red line here, which is why that's your Y-intercept. One important thing to remember is if you want to write these as a point, your X-intercept is always something, comma, 0, because we don't go up or down, we stay on the line. Your Y-intercept is just the reverse of that. It is always 0 because it's 0 on the X-axis and then either up or down some amount on the Y-axis. So I want you to keep these zeros in mind. They're an important part of calculating your X and Y intercepts. So let's make sure we understand just the basic definition of finding X and Y intercepts given a graph. So new topic, finding X and Y intercepts given a graph. For Alex, they don't need you to write these as a point. So it says, find the X and Y intercept of the line below. They do need you to know the difference between the two. You can't just make it in a list. So for example, some of you are going to say that your answer is -4, -3, and that's going to count that wrong. You need to know which one is which. So if this is your X-axis, the blue line crosses the X-axis at -4. If this is your Y-axis, the blue line crosses the Y-axis at -3. So these have the right numbers, but this is giving you that point right there where those would intersect, but that's not what we're looking for. An X and a Y intercept doesn't always exist. So on this one, if we want to find the X-intercept and the Y-intercept, the blue line does not cross the X-axis anywhere, so you would say none for that one. But it does cross the Y-axis. It crosses the Y-axis at -2. Again, you don't have to write these as points. If you needed to, this would be -4, 0, and 0, -3. This would be 0, -2, because the X-intercept is always something, 0. The Y-intercept is always 0, something, 0, something. You pause the video and identify your X and Y intercepts from these graphs. Welcome back. You should have said that your X-intercept was right there, -2, and your Y-intercept was right there, 1. If you wrote this as -2, 1, that is this point right here, and that's incorrect. For this one, this is backwards of the one we did on the previous page because it's a vertical line instead of a horizontal line. There is an X-intercept. That's the X-intercept of 2. For this one, there is no Y-intercept, none for that one. All right, new topic. Finding X and Y intercepts given the equation. And you're going to want to write down a note for this one. To calculate the X and Y intercepts of an equation, substitute 0 for X and Y, then solve for each. We can do these the same every single time. That never ever changes. So it's not like I'm like, sometimes you should do it this way, sometimes you should do it that way. Nope. If the directions say find the X-intercept and Y-intercept, you are always substituting 0 for Y to find the X-intercept, 0 for X to find the Y-intercept. So for example, if I want to find the X-intercept, then we're going to substitute 0 for Y. 5 times 0 is 0, so that's 7x equals -35. Divide both sides by 7. The 7's cancel, so the X-intercept is -5. For the Y-intercept, we're going to substitute 0 for X. So that becomes 7 times 0 plus 5y equals -35. 7 times 0 is 0. 0 plus 5y is just 5y. Divide both sides by 5, and so y equals -7. The most common mistake people make when they get this wrong on Alex is they flip-flop these. They don't pay attention to which is which, and they say that the x-intercept is -7 and the y-intercept is -5, but that's backwards. So keep an eye on this when you do this on your own on the Alex program. You pause the video and try this one on your own. For this one, to find the x-intercept, you want to replace y with 0, so that's 6x plus 2 times 0 equals -18. 2 times 0 is just 0. 0 plus 6x is 6x. So we divide both sides by 6. So x equals -3. To find the y-intercept, we replace x with 0. 6 times 0 is 0. 0 plus 2y is just 2y. Divide both sides by 2, and so y equals -9. So your x-intercept is -3, your y-intercept is -9. Now, we use our x and y intercepts to graph. So new topic, graphing a line given its x and y intercepts. When you draw your own graphs on your notebook paper, you do not need to include all of the grids. When I make my own graphs on the board, I draw my axes, and then I just count off some hash marks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is much easier for me to manage than trying to draw in all these lines, which really gets overwhelming and it becomes more likely that you're going to make a mistake. Do not do it that way. So for this one, it says graph the line whose x-intercept is -1 and y-intercept is -5. Well, the x-intercept goes on the x-axis. So if the x-intercept is -1, that goes there. The y-intercept is -5. The y-intercept is on the y-axis, so we go down to -5. We connect those with a line. Hopefully you can draw a straighter line than I can, and that's it. We put our arrows on the end to show that those lines go on forever into infinity. You pause the video and try this one on your own. You should have put your y-intercept at -6 on the y-axis and your x-intercept at -3 on the x-axis. The most common mistake that people make is to get these backwards. Just because this number came first didn't mean it went on the x-axis. It says the y-intercept is -6, so there should have been a dot here. Then you should have connected those with a line with your arrows on each end. All right, new topic, graphing a line by finding its x and y intercepts. All right, so this is real similar to what we were doing earlier, where we're substituting 0 in for x and y. See how it said find the x-intercept and the y-intercept? And I said you could do that the same way every time. To find the x-intercept, we make y equal to 0. -x equals 8. I can't leave that -1 there, so I'm going to divide both sides by -1 to isolate x. And so our x-intercept is -8, which I don't have enough room for, so I can extend this down. Sorry about that. There's -7, and so about there would be -8, and so there's my dot. To find my y-intercept, I make x equal to 0. There is no -0. -0 is just 0. 0 plus 2y is 2y. So I can divide both sides by 2. Y-intercept, is 4. Can you look at my graph over here and tell me where I made my error? Because I definitely did. This should have been my x-intercept, and I put it on the y-axis. So that is in the wrong place. I should have put this over here. So that should be -7 here, and this should be -8, and so the x-intercept is -8, not down here. The y-intercept is 4. I caught it because I labeled my numbers appropriately, so when I got here and this said y, I realized I had made a mistake. So now we can connect those with my line, put my arrows on each end. Sorry about the error there. Don't make that one yourself when you do these. You pause the video and try this one on your own. All right, the directions say to find the x-intercept and the y-intercept. That's your code for substitute those zeros. For the x-intercept, we substitute 0 for y. For the y-intercept, we substitute 0 for x. So this is 3x minus 4y equals 24. I'm going to replace y with 0 first. It doesn't matter which one you do first. 4 times 0 is just 0. 3x minus 0 is just 3x. Divide both sides by 3, and so x equals 8. So for this one, I should go up to 8, which I don't have quite enough room for on this graph. So that's 7, that's 8, and there's my dot. For the y-intercept, we have 3 times 0. minus 4y equals 24. Gosh darn it, I did it again on this one, guys. This is my x-intercept, not my y-intercept. It should go here. Sorry about that. I promise I do know how to do math. Just made a silly error today. 3 times 0 is 0. 0 minus 4y is negative 4y equals 24. Divide both sides by negative 4. The negative 4's cancel out, and so the y-intercept is negative 6. Right there. I'm going to connect those with a line. Arrows on each end to show that the line goes on forever, and that's it. You pause the video and try this one on your own. I want you to be aware you are not going to get a whole number for your y-intercept, and that's okay. So you should have started by replacing y with 0. 6 times 0 is just 0. 3x minus 0 is 3x. Divide both sides by 3, so your x-intercept is 5. And for once, let's put that on the right axis. Sorry about all my errors on that. For this one, I make x equal to 0. 3 times 0 is just 0. 0 minus 6y is negative 6y. And I'm going to divide both sides by 6. 6's cancel out. I'm left with a fraction, 15 over negative 6. I'm going to divide top and bottom to reduce by 3. 15 divided by 3 is 5. Negative 6 divided by 3 is negative 2. And I'm going to turn that into a mixed number. 2 goes into 5 2 times with a remainder of 1. So that's negative 2 and a half. Don't freak out when you get these fractional numbers for your x and y intercepts. I can put negative 2 and a half on the y-axis. I just go down 2, and then I go halfway in between negative 2 and negative 3 and put a dot. Connect those with a line, and that's it. So you don't have to have whole numbers for x and y intercepts, but you usually will on these. And you're done. This video will be available on Haiku if you need to rewatch. You now need to complete Module 17 practice problems in ALEKS by selecting Continue My Path. Don't forget that you have explanations available to you on the practice problems, and you also should reach out to your teacher if you're struggling to get through the practice problems. When you're done with all the practice problems for Module 17, you will take Quiz 17. Have a great day.